Hello, and welcome to episode 20 of the Cage Fight Podcast. We are officially in round 2.
Damn, 20.
Damn, the terrible 20s is what they're going to call this, because the bracket from here on out is dog shit. These movies are all bad.
Yeah, from now on, it's only bad things that will happen to us on here.
Yeah, definitely the first part of the bracket was all good.
Yeah.
This if this podcast is 20, it's officially one too many to date Leonardo DiCaprio. So that's pretty cool.
God. And it's too many to date a libertarian.
It's 4 or 5 too many.
And it's about 7 or 8 too many today, Bryan Singer.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Getting the Bryan Singer talk in early. X-Men Apocalypse streaming now on HBO. I don't know.
Did he actually direct the Apocalypse?
I'm not sure. He definitely did Days of Future Past.
Yes.
I don't know about anything after that, though.
I don't think he directed Logan.
No, I don't think so.
See,
But there was a small child on that, so maybe he did.
I feel like I talked about this in the last episode, but I haven't seen any of them past, like, The Last Stand, besides the one
That is a crying fucking shame, because there's some actually good X-Men movies past Last Stand. Like I said, Days of Future Past and Logan are fucking incredible films.
I like those movies a lot.
I've really just never been much of a superhero movie person, aside from... I like the Dark Knight movies because I'm a pleb
I will
on this
say,
shit.
if you don't like most superhero movies, you'll like Logan. Logan is very subversive for most superhero movies.
Definitely.
It is really depressing, but a fantastic film.
Yeah, and he like slices dudes' heads off and shit.
It's hyper violent.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
But yeah, so we started off topic like we usually do, but this time we're talking about Raising Arizona and Deadfall, one that we've covered before already.
Returning favorite.
Yeah, returning favorite. Literally do think it might be my favorite movie that's come up so far in this fucking bracket. In the first couple rounds.
Oh, okay, in the first couple rounds. Because I was going to say, if that's your favorite one so far, we got some fucking problems, let me tell you.
Look, a lot of those movies were just plain fucking bad.
Oh, I bet they were.
I was not anticipating how much fun it was going to be to rewatch Deadfall, but it was, spoiler alert, a delight.
Yeah, it was a good time.
So, Raising Arizona is a movie that came out in 1887 and is directed by Leonard and Andy Coen.
It's so close. All of that was so... Okay, yes. Raising Arizona. So this movie came out in 1987, rated PG-13, directed by Joel Coen of the Coen brothers. But the two brothers wrote it together, Joel and Ethan Coen.
Which is a pretty common thing for them. Joel's usually the director, whereas Ethan is usually the producer.
Oh, I thought they usually both directed.
No, it's like Joel usually is the director, I believe.
Okay. Well, yeah, you're probably familiar with the Coen brothers, but if you're not, they made like Fargo and Big Lebowski and No Country for Old Men and
some other smaller, more critically acclaimed films, even like Inside Llewyn Davis and Lady Killer's the one that everyone loves and remembers.
Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou?
Yeah.
One movie they
Miller's
didn't...
Crossing.
Yeah. I just watched that movie recently, actually.
And also the True Grit remake.
Super Irish. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
One movie I wish that they had worked on would be City Slickers 2: The Legend of Curly's Gold. I think that would have been a great opportunity for them. Really the only mark I can put on their resume against them. So.
But yeah, the Coen brothers, known for making good movies, I would say. And I think a lot of people would agree.
And also directed another really good one that we're talking about right now.
Hey, hot take alert, these guys make the good ones. So.
Yeah, hot take alert. Joel and Ethan Coen, some of the best filmmakers in the game right now.
Oh,
Yeah, and if you
I know
disagree,
it's a bit nuclear, but it's just simply true.
If you disagree, you're going to have to fucking sit your ass down and fucking go watch Ant-Man, because we're big kids in here and we're talking about the real shit.
And I think this might be the first time we're talking about a movie that is directed by someone that people know of besides Joel Schumacher.
Joey Shoes?
Yeah, Joey Shoes.
Oh,
And that can't
rest
be
in
true.
peace, Joel Schumacher. By the way, I've never said any rude thing about Joel Schumacher on any other podcast or anything like that. I've only said good things about Joel Schumacher.
I used to send him letters telling him to kill himself.
I would always send him letters telling him that he was a great director and never made any bad movies.
Yeah.
I tell him that all the time.
So this is the production company was Circle Films.
You might know Circle from being one of the Shapes, No Corners.
They partnered with Jerk Films at some point.
Yeah, and they Circle jerked. Yeah, and that's
I've never heard of circle films before in my life.
Yeah.
I know Jess is the expert, so she's trying to remember all the expert knowledge of circle.
Yeah, it takes
Yeah.
some time. I have to do some guided meditations real quick to get
Yeah, I
through
would say
it.
like they probably
Oh,
definitely did
is-
like 360 degrees worth of movies.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it looks like there's no Wikipedia page, so I can't remember it, off the top of
Yeah,
my
she's
head.
got to do more in-depth research of circle films.
Yeah, until
Yeah.
then, just watch their Netflix show 2 Pi R Squared. Or
The sequel is called Circumference.
and cum is in bold.
Yes, exactly. It's the porn parody of circle films.
Circumcise.
Circumventing, you know what I mean?
Ooh, cum venting.
Cum venting sounds like an interesting sexual practice that I need to know more about.
Sounds like you're coming in your vent and it just like...
Yeah, it's like I crawl in the ducts and I fucking blast
Hold
off,
on.
and then you stand at the vent and smell my product.
Is there a thing that's like waterboarding but with cum?
Yeah, it's called bukkake. Yeah, that's what it's called.
I mean, that's
Okay,
Chinese water torture with cum.
just slow trip. How do you?
Yeah, like Chinese water torture, but with cum.
Just flick one drop out at a time. And that's how that works.
So this movie has a runtime of 94 minutes, a budget of $6 million. Pretty low budget, actually, compared to a lot of
And
shit
they
we've done
used
so far.
every dollar of that because this film looks fantastic.
It looks really good, and there's a lot of there's some pretty big set pieces that go on that you wouldn't expect on a $6 million budget.
It's some real good practical effects too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, then they almost run over a baby, which makes you wonder how they pulled that off with.
Well, so the thing is that I
Not
don't know if you
so
know,
much
but
money.
babies roughly cost $500,000 each. So and they had to do that several times,
Yeah.
which raised the budget of the movie.
Oh.
So
That
I
is
know
true.
that
times, so.
as
It-
of I think it was 2012, the U.S. government officially valued a human life at about $6.8 million. So
See,
we
that's
have to
too
remember
much.
that was like that
That's
was
too
20 years
much.
before, so that would have been roughly like 2.53 million actually. So.
Yeah,
so
with
they actually ran over
inflation.
one baby. So the original budget was about roughly 3 million.
Well, see, actually, the main baby in this movie has a lot in common with the main car from Gone in 60 Seconds because they had like 15 copies of it, and 7 of them exploded during the production. But most of them are okay now, and
And they're sitting in Nick Cage's collection in his garage.
they're in a museum somewhere in Nicolas Cage's estate. So
do y'all want to try and guess the box office gross for this one?
I believe it was roughly about 30 million or so dollars, right?
in 1987 money,
Yes.
I know it was box office success.
Yeah, $29.2 million. So that's another one in the black. Stop
shit.
looking it up beforehand. God, I'm trying to make you guess.
Well, fine.
So that's 12 out of 39 movies so far that are in the black. So,
and for the listener at home, when we announced that this movie was in the black, we dropped confetti.
yeah.
And
Yeah, you can't see it. I would have blown my party horn, but I was busy talking. So it's,
I should have brought my vuvuzela.
but on Rotten Tomatoes, this movie has a 91% critic rating, 85% audience rating. So overall, this is a pretty damn highly regarded film. I think that might be the highest I've ever seen for critics on this podcast. thus far.
That's definitely got to be also like the closest of like a critic and audience.
and audience,
perception.
yeah.
And the both very like almost unanimous praise.
But yes, this is actually like damn near unanimous praise, and that's pretty fucking cool to see, I think.
yeah, I mean, more power to Nicolas Cage. He did great in this movie, and he got the respect that he deserves for once, I guess.
Yeah.
So like everything's shaping up to it looking like we're gonna talk about a good movie. Am I right, guys? This is a new thing.
I'm fucking
And that's when
stoked.
keeping it real goes wrong. Because we're going to talk about how this movie fucking
It
sucks.
fucking ball.
Big stinker. Have you heard about Sophomore Slump? Because this is the second Coen Brothers movie, and let me tell you, it fucking slumped.
Yeah, dude.
But that's all I have for facts. Mike, you got some trivia?
I got some trivia out the ass for this one.
Damn,
Because, yeah,
that's
people,
not a good place for trivia.
people have actually seen this movie, so that helps with contributing to either, rumors that may be made up. But you know what? I'm going to read them anyway. So the Coen brothers started working on this with the idea that they wanted to make it like as different as possible from Blood Simple. So they wanted it to be more optimistic and upbeat. I haven't seen Blood Simple.
It's a very
so,
dark, depressing film.
yeah, I would not classify this as dark and depressing. So I guess
Oh.
success there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of optimism in this movie. I like it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
even for the amount of people like missing a baby. they're pretty like chill about it.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, not to spoil it, but they got 4. I mean, come on. They have 80% of their babies still.
That's
Yeah.
and even that's too many,
80%
like-
is pretty fucking good.
You got to look at a glass like 80% full kind.
yeah.
Most people lose a baby, they have tops 50% of their babies.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. And you heard of Take My Wife, now Take My Baby, you know what I'm saying? Take a couple of them. Despite the cult following of their later films, such as The Big Lebowski, the Coen brothers have described this as the last movie that made any significant amount of money for them. Which
It's kind of true because actually, I mean, I think True Grit made a shit ton of money.
yeah,
And I
but
think No Country for Old Men, I don't think was a huge box office success.
really,
I don't believe so. And Big Lebowski wasn't really that big of a commercial success either.
I just find that hard to believe.
Yeah.
For like No Country for Old Men, I feel like had to have at least made, you know.
I don't think it was
a
that
bunch
big of
that.
a high grossing movie. I
Maybe
really
they
don't.
were getting contract deals where they didn't get. Okay, I just looked it up. $25 million budget, box office $171 million. They made.
Well,
some
I was
money.
fucking
I
wrong.
mean, maybe there was more like studio control over that.
Yeah, there
or
was
something.
probably more studio control and shit like that.
yeah,
Or-
'cause I guarantee
or
you there
maybe
was
it
not a-
like when they made this their second movie, they needed money, and every time after that, they didn't really need any
Well,
money
yeah, they
anymore.
got their
so it
blank
wasn't
check after this.
significant.
And that's the thing that was true about their box office success until Inside Llewyn Davis, which is their highest grossing film of all time.
According to Ethan Coen, Nicolas Cage was pretty nutso about his haircut during production. His Woody Woodpecker haircut, as it is called in the IMDb trivia.
As in nutso, as in happy, or
I mean, he was like wanted it to be just right in every scene because, according to him, the stress level of his character directly correlates to what his hair looks like. So the more danger he's in, the bigger the wave in his hair gets.
And out of his natural hair, this is probably the best I've ever seen Nick Cage's hair. It's pretty solid in this movie.
He looks good.
yeah, he's not looking bad in this movie.
It was also really early in his career, so
I guess he is younger in this one, but
And I did make a joke before, but there was 15 babies that played the quintuplets in the movie, and one of the babies was fired during production because he learned to walk. And apparently the mother went so far as to put her baby shoes on backwards to prevent it from walking.
damn.
that just sounds like some real like torture stage parent shit.
Yeah,
You will have developmental like disabilities.
It's like
just
Chinese
so we
foot
can
binding,
keep
but
you
for
in-
American
exactly.
babies.
yeah.
And all for the sake of being in a Coen Brothers movie. I mean, I would have done the same thing.
Yeah,
to
I
my
mean,
kid.
I would be permanently disabled if I could be in 5 seconds of it.
Exactly.
Like,
I mean, so the relationship between Nicolas Cage and the Coen brothers was respectful but turbulent, apparently, while working on this movie. And Nicolas Cage said some stuff along the lines of, it was difficult to suggest ideas to them because they were so dedicated to their artistic vision.
and I would not be surprised by that because I feel like Nick Cage and the Coen brothers would clash on a lot of shit.
Yeah.
They're very like alternate personalities.
And the Coen brothers responded to that statement by saying that they did enjoy working with him, though his like improvisations and stuff made it a bit hard to like edit his scenes, and he clashed with their vision a little bit. So
He wanted a New Orleans accent.
exactly, he wanted to throw on that New Orleans, maybe British accent. Nobody really knows, and they wanted something specific. So. Apparently, while they were filming this movie, there was a diner that Nicolas Cage and one of the guys working on the movie frequented, and Nicolas Cage got recognized in this diner and signed an autograph for somebody that said, "Tomorrow you will die, Nick Cage."
Oh shit!
All right.
So that's
He
a good
he
good
was doing
Cageism.
he was doing what that girl did in The Ring, but just a seventh of the time.
Yeah, and I think he actually did follow up and kill that person.
Yeah, he literally came through the TV wet as shit the next day to kill that person.
Do you think that should be the tagline for this show? Cage fight. Tomorrow you will die, Nick Cage.
Hell yeah, dude.
Honestly, I kind of like that.
I'll put it
Let's
up
see.
on the website.
Okay, here's a fun one that I put down for you specifically, Jess, because I hoped that it would blow your mind.
Ooh,
So
what's this?
the baby on the poster of Raising Arizona is Max Bemis from Say Anything.
What? There's no way.
His father made the poster for this movie, and so
That's holy shit. That's fucking incredible.
he played
Oh my
the part
God.
of the baby on the poster.
That's really cool. That's a weird bit of trivia. Last thing I expected to hear, I had no idea that Max Bemis was like posed for photos. His father made movie posters? Is that
Apparently,
like
or at least he made that one. And Max Bemis was on it.
I suggest everyone check out Say Anything. Good band. At least
and they
Is a Real Boy album.
Is a Real Boy, yeah. The last bit of trivia I have is that we can chalk another dealio into things that Cage learned for roles because he actually kidnapped a child to get prepared for this movie. And the child that he took grew up to be, or should I say, would have grown up to be John Benet Ramsey.
Oh.
No, so that the actual story is that he was in Wisconsin and he kidnapped a little girl, but he eventually did return her, and that girl ended up being Whitney, Wisconsin.
Whitney, Wisconsin, the dog fucker herself.
Yeah. So that's the other connection to Wisconsin that Nick Cage has.
That's the connection.
I'm so glad you got that. That was a reference. I was saying I'm so glad you got that reference.
I have a history.
That went right over me.
So Whitney, Wisconsin is from Eau Claire, I believe, and she is a very infamous sex predator and zoophile.
Yeah, she used to make YouTube videos about how she had sex with her dog and how she liked to have sex with her dog. And I think she's in jail now.
And she also liked to stick her hand in her like pussy and like make guys smell it afterwards, like randomly in like malls and restaurants and stuff. So
Like
a really
you do.
cool person.
Cool gal, hometown hero.
Yeah,
and,
hometown hero. If you're from Eau Claire and you're listening to this, you went to high school with that girl. I guarantee it.
I will say that I reference Whitney, Wisconsin semi-frequently, and nobody ever gets it.
I'm so glad I get it.
So
it was meant to be. You were meant to meet.
I feel at home. So thank you for that. And stay the fuck away from my dog if you're listening, Whitney, Wisconsin.
Wait, is she in prison right now?
I think she is for like sex offenses.
Yeah, I don't even know if it was related to the dog fucking, but it was just like, she started putting these videos up on YouTube, and everybody was like, somebody has to look into this person. She must be stopped. And that's all I got. Whitney, return my calls, please.
We need you on the show.
We're going to find his Turner and Hoochist movie, and we're going to have Whitney, Wisconsin on as the guest. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Well, moving on to a plot summary here. At the start of this movie, Cage is kind of just being repeatedly arrested for robbing convenience stores, I think, like every time.
Robbing the same convenience store every time, I believe.
Dedication.
Yeah.
That's what it shows. And he keeps being put in prison, and he keeps getting his mugshot taken by the same cop, a lady named Ed. And at one point, like during all this, he like slips a ring on her finger. He's like sweet talking her.
Yeah,
as
he
things go
at
on.
one point finds out that her husband is cheating on her because there's like a progression where every time they see each other, which seems to be frequently, he learns a little bit more about her, including the fact that her marriage is on the rocks and he wants to get his pee-pee wet.
Yeah. So after he gets out of prison for the last time, he proposes to Ed, and they get married, and they move to Tempe, Arizona. Well, either that or that's where they were already. I didn't know.
One of the Arizona towns.
Yeah. And he gets a job in a machine shop, and they have a good life together. What they describe.
Live in a trailer in the middle of the desert, Tempe, Arizona. It's a beautiful trailer too.
It is a nice little trailer. It's one of them stainless steel numbers that's all like aerodynamic and slick looking.
Looks like he could turn it into a rocket to the moon.
Yeah. So
Moonstruck.
they call it their salad days, and they decide they're going to have a kid, but Ed discovers that she is infertile.
She is barren. And that's
Yeah.
the thing, ladies, if you're listening to this podcast, if you are infertile, you're a piece of shit. I'm sorry. Like you should want not only to have children, but also be able to. And if you can't, you shouldn't listen to the show. Any infertile woman can't fuck with it.
I believe
I can't be on the show anymore.
Sorry, Jess.
We lost a producer.
I believe at one point they compare her uterus to the desert that they live in.
This movie was definitely made in the 80s because nowadays that would be a harassment lawsuit from a doctor.
Yeah.
Well, it's something about how like her vagina was like a rocky wasteland, and his cum was like their trailer.
Oh, yes, I do remember that. Yeah.
It's like,
that.
listen, your pussy doesn't work and your husband's dick sucks. Like, this shit sucks, dude. You got to get out of this relationship. That's what the doctor said it exactly.
If neither you are blasting, you should stop asking and get a divorce.
If you ain't porking, you're aborting. No.
Yes.
So they try to adopt, but they're unable to adopt because of Cage's criminal past.
Which involves a lot of armed robbery, just to be clear. So that's a very justifiable thing, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't know. It's probably not the best move to give out kids to someone who's been repeatedly convicted of armed robbery.
And you'll see there's a lot of firing of guns from him, so it's totally understandable.
I do think it was kind of funny. She's like, yeah, I have a past as a felon, but she's a cop, so it all balances out, right?
Yeah, that's right. One violent offender and an absolutely not violent former cop, because we all know cops have never been violent.
Yeah, she's definitely the least violent one of the couple.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing in any couple, the cop is always the least violent. Never causes any DV incidents or anything.
Exactly.
Like
actually, there's a statistic that cops are the most abused people in all marriages.
Just look up cops, 40%.
Yeah, 40% of domestic violence victims are cops.
Yeah, I think that's the way that the statistic goes.
But yeah, after they can't adopt and they can't have kids biologically, they become depressed, and Ed ends up retiring from the police force. And one day, they end up seeing on TV a couple named the Arizonas. The man in the relationship is Nathan Arizona, who owns like a furniture store.
Yeah.
I believe.
Unpainted furniture.
Oh yeah, it's unpainted specifically.
Unpainted furniture and iced tea.
And he's rich from this venture, which, by the way, that is how like horrifically like wealthy America used to be for anybody. That if you just started one business that sold like such dumb shit, you could be a multi-millionaire.
Yeah, I mean, just look at Nathan Ashley from Ashley Furniture. He's probably a piece of shit too.
I mean, back in the day, you could work at a convenience store that only sold one version of cornflakes and end up being worth 8 figures.
Oh yeah,
that was just the way America used to be back then.
R.I.P. And that's why we need to make America great again.
Yeah. Or keep America great.
Well, that's what America was before NAFTA.
Yeah. Post NAMBLA.
But yeah, they see on TV that this couple, the Arizonas, have quintuplets called the Arizona Quints. And they decide they're going to steal one of those because,
Why the fuck not?
Yeah. 5 kids is too much for them to handle.
It's a lot like wealth, right? Because you have like this couple who's can't have children and they're poor. They live in a trailer. These rich people, they got 5 kids. Why don't you share the wealth around?
Exactly.
They can give up one of their children.
And that is what socialism is about: redistribution of children.
But
I mean, that is what socialism is about.
When we tried to explain this to the Arizonas, they said they would rather give up one of their children than any of their money. So
that's true.
At that point, they drive out to the house of the Arizonas in the middle of the night, and Cage goes up into the room from a ladder where all the babies are, all 5 of them, and basically he steals one of them.
Definitely acting like Bryan Singer does when he wants to visit his new boyfriend. Just goes up to his window and is like, "Hey, baby, how you doing?" And it's like, "Goo goo gaga."
He likes to do that thing where he like throws rocks at the window. But then because they can't reach the window, he has to climb up and open it himself.
Yeah.
So,
and the reason they can't do it is because they're too short to open the window because they're midgets. No, they're the midgets. That's what they're not.
Mental the mental style.
Yes. Mental midgets.
Yeah.
Is that a thing? I haven't heard that before. Leave it to Taylor to come up with like new slurs, though.
A mental midget is absolutely a thing that I did not create.
Okay.
I will still credit you with it if you'd like. We get a funny scene where he climbs up in the window and all the babies start crying. And so he's trying to like please all of them one by one by giving them toys
like
and
Bryan
stuff.
Singer would.
Yeah. Well, he likes to take them all at once. he likes them all at one time. But then the parents are like downstairs and they hear the ruckus and they're like, "Hey, our new babies are making noise. Should we check on it in like 25 minutes?" And they're like, yeah, let's not check on it now. Let's check on it after they've cried for about 25 more minutes.
But yeah, eventually he managed to grab one of the kids that he thinks is Nathan Jr. I don't remember what all the other names were, but it was like Barry and Larry and Gary, I think.
Yeah, some stupid bullshit.
But yeah.
And Cherry. Because there was a baby named Cherry, I remember.
Cherry
Because
David.
it's really sweet. It was the sweetest baby.
He sucked on them all too.
Sucked on a lot. Brian's sick. No, I can't
He
do it.
tasted each baby to figure out which one he wanted.
But so Cage takes the baby back to the car and he drives home with his wife. There is one line in here that I really liked where he says, "Here's the instructions," and throws the Dr. Spock's guide to raising children on the
That
scene.
was super fun. I actually laughed out loud at that part.
Yeah.
That's really funny because like that book came out in the 50s. That parenting guide is like 30 years fucking out of date. It's just really funny.
The kids don't change, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about like child psychology is that once you learn something about child psychology, it never changes.
Yeah, you just put them in a fucking box until they turn 18, and then you'd send them off to the army.
I don't think that book is out of date because we need to be raising kids like we did in the 50s so we can return to our trad culture back then, you know?
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, absolutely.
Kids are fucking pussies these days, you know? They can't even go overseas and, like, kill civilians without getting PTSD.
Yeah.
Yeah, like back in the day, they could just mow down whole villages, but now it's like, oh no, I don't want to commit war crimes. You're making America stronger.
Oh, Chris Kyle has a conscience now, huh? You know.
Anyways, they take Nathan Jr. home, and they're really excited but kind of nervous about the life ahead of them. Cage, in particular, looks kind of nervous. Then, immediately after that, we see John Goodman suddenly burst out of some mud, screaming at the top of his lungs.
Yeah, we should also clarify that John Goodman and another guy were in prison with Nick Cage.
Yes, I didn't mention that at the start, but
and they're good friends. I can't remember the other actor besides John Goodman.
Yes,
been in a
I
bunch of
definitely
stuff.
do remember this because I'm
Yeah, and
good
we
at
do
my
have
job.
this written down and referenceable immediately.
But no, they come out of the mud outside of this prison like Shawshank Redemption. They're like,
Yeah,
I made it.
his head is sticking out of the ground.
William Forsythe
yes.
is there with John Goodman,
Forsythe.
yes. Screaming like, "Ah!" They do a lot of screaming in this film, those two, I will say.
All fully clothed screaming, just to be clear. It's not one of those movies.
You sound like some of the Amazon reviewers, but...
After breaking out of prison by digging out underground, they drive over to Cage and Ed's place, and Cage is really excited to see them, but Ed is not so happy about harboring escaped convicts, but she agrees to let them stay for a day or two, but they have to get on their way afterwards.
Escaped convicts hanging out in their trailer with their newly kidnapped baby.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
Very normal situation.
for an ex-cop, she sure is acting like a cop at this part.
Yeah, seriously. For an ex-cop who just stole a baby,
Yeah.
she's getting a little high and mighty, I
Way to
think.
grow your conscience back, Ed.
Yeah. Where was that when you were thieving children, huh?
Yeah. When you weren't wearing your body cam during very specific incidents.
So that night, Cage has a dream of like a biker who looks like he's like straight out of Mad Max.
I was literally going to say it looks like Toe Cutter from Mad Max. Like,
He is wild. He looks like he smells great.
But yeah, he's loaded up with guns and grenades and like things are exploding and he's covered in dirt. He's gruff looking. Cage believes it's a vision of things that are coming for him now that because they have stolen the child.
and you're thinking, it's like, oh, that's a funny dream. Oh, it's not a dream, baby.
No, the lines between reality and not reality are blurred, baby.
Dreamality.
Dreamscape.
It's like a Mortal Kombat fucking fatality.
It's he's in his dream theater right now.
So then, cut to the next day, we see the police and FBI questioning Nathan, Arizona to get any information about who may have taken the child. And we see that biker guy from the dream, who is very real, rolling around, like, investigating things. Later that day, Cage and Ed have some company over. Cage's work foreman at his job, who has like 5 kids or something.
And they're all extremely well behaved.
Yeah, all extremely well behaved. They tear apart everything and break things and...
to rebuild it back again so they can get a better trailer.
Yes, absolutely. They helped them commit insurance fraud.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
Whose wife is played by Frances McDormand, a
yes.
frequent Coen Brothers collaborator, and I think
Yes.
the wife of
Ethan.
Joel.
Is that the what? Ethan or Joel?
One of them. One of the two.
It's actually both of them. It's a
both-
polycule situation.
Yeah, they're both stuffing her
Ooh.
nightly.
Wouldn't think you'd be in a polycule with your own brother, but...
I mean, that's the thing is that they're doing airtight every night, you know.
After they heard that brother to brother song from the Pokemon soundtrack, and they decided that they could pound whatever they wanted to.
Oh, it looks like she's married to Joel.
Joel. Okay. Yeah.
yeah.
So the director.
And,
tall one.
Yeah. Well, of
The
course.
tall and dreamy one.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other one is probably too short to get married or any women.
Well, and like I said, in the airtight situation, he's all they say shorter guys have smaller dicks, so of course he goes into the tighter hole. So.
Yeah. And because
By the way, Frances McDormand, if you do listen to this, we do respect you as an actress. We're not shaming you for getting airtight with your husbands every night. We're not shaming that.
Incredible actress, and you know what? I'm glad you're getting your shit stuffed.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yes, while they're over, Cage talks to the man who, again, is his boss, about how he's kind of feeling trapped, like his new domestic life is kind of crushing in on him.
Oh wait, he says feeling trapped.
Yeah.
Like headstrong.
Yeah. He's feeling so headstrong he'll take this on.
Or he's feeling trapped in paradise.
Call back. Potato flakes.
Potato flakes as snow. But yeah, basically Nicolas Cage is like, hey, I'm struggling in my new life, and his boss is like, would it help if I fucked your wife?
Yeah. Well, talk about headstrong. Nick Cage does take him on.
He does. He doesn't
lays
play.
his fucking ass out.
Yeah, so his boss suggests that they like swing, and Cage is like, nah, you stay away from my wife, and punches him like straight in the face.
And I mean, that guy really did predict like hot wife culture in 2020, like 35 years ago. Kind of impressive.
Yeah. If this movie would have been made today, Nicolas Cage's reaction would have been, "We fuck now."
Cage and Ed are both pretty sure that Cage is going to get fired for this. Ed is mad. They're going to the convenience store to get some diapers for Nathan. And Cage, who, as you just remember, because he feels trapped in his domestic life and he feels like he's got to do something, decides he's going to rob this convenience store. Like,
wearing pantyhose in his head with his gun, like you do.
Yeah. As you do. And just fucking stealing diapers. And
then
cash.
everyone in this subsequent scene has a gun and starts shooting everybody.
Yes.
The convenience store worker shoots Nick Cage 1,000,000 times and misses every time.
There's a lot of bullets.
He's got like the aim of a stormtrooper. Everyone has the aim of a stormtrooper in this scene.
It's
Truly.
true.
I feel like half of the budget was probably just like blanks that they were just popping off throughout.
Well, I mean, talk about shooting blanks.
I mean, that's really the theme of this whole movie. So
when Ed notices he's robbing, she yells at him and drives away without him. He's chased by the cops, the convenience store owner, a bunch of dogs, and this long chase where he runs around and loses the diapers that he'd stolen, and then goes to like a grocery store and picks up another batch of diapers, which he again loses.
And then the clerk at that grocery store starts shooting him too.
Yeah.
And to be fair, that is literally what happens in many parts of the country when a gun gets pulled, is that everyone, because of course America has the most guns per capita, so everyone has a gun available to shoot.
yeah, it's like a chain of events. Like one person hears a gun, and then somebody a few blocks away will start shooting the gun, and then it kind of snowballs from there.
Yeah, exactly.
But yes, so he eventually gets away from the cops. Ed comes back around and picks him up, and they even manage to swipe up the diapers that he'd lost initially in the chase. And
he's going to need them after that fucking chase. You know what I'm saying?
When they get home, Ed tells the convicts they have to leave. That's John Goodman and Forsyth, because they've been a bad influence on Cage thus far. Which
who's a child who can't make his own decisions, and you know.
I see you've taken a side in this debate.
That's saying is like, it's like, bitch, listen, bros before hoes. Like, I can't.
First of all, I would have robbed this place. Even if you know what? If they hadn't been here, I would have capped this bitch.
He's like, you say you fucking bitch. These are my friends, and if anyone's gonna leave, it's gonna be fucking you.
If I have to choose between my bitch and my dog pound, I'm gonna pick the dog pound every time.
Oh my god!
So,
bravo. So after she steps out, they say to Cage, like, "Hey, you're having a bad time here with your wife. We can tell it. She's at odds with your nature, and your nature is to just be robbing convenience stores and doing robberies. Maybe not convenience stores. So you should rob this bank with us." And that Cage kind of agrees, I guess. And that night he writes a note to Ed, just saying he's going to leave, but he kind of falls asleep while doing it. So in the next scene, we see that the biker guy from Cage's dream shows up at Nathan, Arizona's furniture store and says he's going to find Nathan Jr. for $50,000. Arizona refuses to pay him, but he says, well, I'm going to get that kid whether or not you pay me, because they'll pay $30,000 on the black market for a kid, apparently.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, to be fair, that is what Bryan Singer asks.
that's his buy-in price. Yeah, he concocts a plan to steal this kid one way or another, and then either give it back for a reward or just sell it for parts.
Yeah. And like I said, Bryan Singer will pay individually. It doesn't matter what part.
Yeah,
Bryan
he
Singer
he
gets.
pays per pound.
Mhm. The next day, Cage's boss comes back, furious at Cage, and fires him. But that is like the least of his problems, because he tells Cage he knows that the baby is the kidnapped Arizona child, and he demands that Cage give the kid to him because he wants another child too and can't adopt anymore with 5 kids.
He's like, you can't kidnap that kid. I'm kidnapping that kid.
Yeah. I love the idea of extorting someone for a child to raise. To raise too. Like this is
That
a
has
pretty-
100% happened.
Probably.
That's
yeah.
100%.
I've done it.
I mean, I would extort somebody to be like, no, I'm not. I will give you money to raise that child.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm not
I think
leaving
that's
it
just
out on the
normal
curb-
adoption.
Well, yeah.
It's like I just said that, and it's like the gang starts adoption. No.
When Cage goes back inside, the convicts then tie him up and kidnap Nathan Jr. because they're gonna hold the kid ransom for a bunch of money from Nathan, Arizona. When Ed gets home, she frees Cage. Then Cage loads up 3 guns, and they set off after the convicts, who are the Snotes brothers. I only start referring them as that in my notes at this point, which go back and mentally replace every instance of convicts with Snotes brothers.
John Goodman.
Yeah, John Goodman and Will Forsythe. But yeah, so they lose Nathan after picking up some diapers because they put his carrier on the top of their car. The Snotes brothers.
And the baby lands perfectly okay in the middle of the road, which always happens when you accidentally drive away.
Just kind of rolls off instead of splattering.
Yeah, and he lands upright and just perfectly on the lines. But they already seem to be pretty attached to the kid. I don't know, they're like super into this baby.
To be fair, the baby barely cries. He seems like a pretty sweet kid.
Yeah, this fucking baby is electric because everybody who comes across it is like, I need that fucking baby.
It is a well-behaved baby. It is a fairly cute baby.
Thankfully-
I've seen cuter.
Thankfully, I will say Bryan Singer is the one person who didn't interact with this child.
Yeah, I think he was in a sex dungeon at this time.
I think Bryan Singer might have literally been a child when this movie came out. So.
He, and I mean, he's loved fucking kids ever since then. So
Yeah, dude.
But yeah, Ed tells Cage while they're driving to go find the cons and get Nathan Jr. back that they both seem to be bad, selfish people, and they're probably bad for each other and should break up. And meanwhile, the bounty hunter finds Ed and Cage's trailer and sees it torn up and goes out looking for them. John Goodman and Will Forsythe rob that bank they were talking about with Nathan in a car seat with them, which is kind of funny. And I would like to point out that this is the second comedy bank robbing that we've seen in this podcast so far.
that's true.
The
Some real bangers.
Whoops. The first being in Trapped in Paradise.
Less babies in that one, but
Yeah, less
Still pretty
babies, more potatoes. They get the money and leave, but realize that they forgot Nathan again outside the bank. Like, same exact situation where they put him on top of the car and drove away without him. Just as a paint cartridge in the money bag goes off.
Yeah, and that's really common. I used to work at a bank, and we literally had one of those like fucking paint cartridges and stack of bills whenever. It's really
Damn.
funny. It never exploded on me, unfortunately. It's the only time that I've worked at a job where I haven't wanted something to explode in my face while I'm working.
I know we kind of blew past it, but when they forgot the baby this time, it did splatter all over the road, and they had to scoop up its guts. So,
Yeah.
No,
It
they
was
just
mixed
got
in with
they
the
just got
paint.
another one of the babies because they had 15.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, oh fuck, we broke one. We got a 14.
went
of
through
Oh
them."
a
yeah,
few
that
of
wasn't in the movie. That was just like what happened on set.
Yeah, exactly,
Like,
yeah.
kid
Yeah.
got splattered.
Yeah, dude.
Look it up on Best Score. It's pretty cool.
So Cage and Ed pull up to Nathan just as the bounty hunter is also rolling up and attacks them. He seems to have blown up a cop car in the process too, because you like hear a siren as he's coming up, and then you see a
Yeah.
massive explosion over the horizon. Ed runs away with Nathan while Cage fights the bounty hunter.
And it's just a really awesome action scene. Like it's a really fucking well choreographed scene.
Yeah, it is
Yeah.
a pretty well choreographed scene. And it's cool.
And I like how they do like the baby, like because the baby cart gets flipped over a million times, and it's like you can almost see the baby's head just fucking break open on the pavement. But it cuts every single time. You're like, oh, I didn't want to see that right now, so I'm glad they really did that.
Yeah, but if you stay till after the credits, they have some of the gaffes and goofs.
Yeah.
Which
And
include
they're all
3 or 4
laughing.
dead babies.
They're all laughing with like skull and like baby eyes on the ground, like let's get another baby.
They're just and that's why they got that blank check after this.
At the end of the fight, Cage pulls one of the pin on one of the grenades on the bounty hunter's vest, and he explodes. Cage survives, and Cage and Ed then go to return Nathan Jr. to the Arizona house, where they sneak in the same way they did last time. Apparently, the Arizonas didn't learn their lesson, and they start locking the fucking windows.
Well, you do have to remember they still had 4 babies left, so they still could have lost 1 and still had the majority of their babies.
That's true. Yeah, they would have most of them.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, even if under their assumption, they thought maybe whoever took the baby would bring it back, they weren't wrong. So
That is true.
They were actually right.
yeah,
They took a gamble and it paid off.
exactly.
Nathan Arizona sees them doing this, and he's like, "What? Oh, you're returning the kid." And they confess to him that they kidnapped Nathan because they couldn't have a kid of their own, and he decides not to notify the police because nobody got hurt and nothing went wrong, and he thinks they seem like genuine and good people. But it does seem that Ed and Cage are going to split up, as they believe they're not good for one another. But that night, while they're sleeping next to each other, Cage has a dream of the future where he sees Ed and him still together and happy with a big family and a ton of grandkids. And it's actually a little bit touching and moving.
I actually thought the whole last scene with Nathan Arizona and then that scene were all really super sweet. Like, even though Nathan Arizona, you expect him to be kind of like a brash, like southern fucking like cowboy redneck asshole, and he kind of is to a certain degree. But I feel like he's a very multifaceted character, and that whole scene I thought was really. He had some like real good gems in there.
Yeah, and I mean, at this point, he has every right to go in there with guns blazing.
Yeah, because
and
even though he
he's
only
pretty
lost
chill about it.
20% of his children, that's
Yeah.
still 20%. That's a lot of children if you think about it.
That's a large loss on an
Yeah.
investment. You
It's
know
like
what I'm saying?
$6.8 million that you're gonna have to spend again now that
Yeah.
the baby's back.
It is a very sweet, nice ending, I think. So, overall thoughts, everybody?
This movie was fucking fantastic. It was the first really, really, really good movie I've seen on this show so far.
Mm-hmm.
Like, maybe not the first good film, but at the very least one that is something I would love to watch again at some point. And it has been a family favorite of mine for a long time. Like, my family has a Betamax copy of Racing Arizona, for God's sake.
Damn, my the only beta in my family is me. So,
You're the Max Beta.
yeah,
Instead of Betamax.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know. Yeah, this was a great movie. Nicolas Cage was fantastic in it.
Every performance was good. Holly Hunter as Ed was fantastic.
Yeah, Holly Hunter was great. John Goodman, as always, a delight.
He's great in like every Coen Brothers movie I've seen.
He honestly, John Goodman is probably one of the greatest living actors. He's just fucking fantastic in everything. He even makes Speed Racer good. Actually, it's not specifically him that makes that movie good, but he is in it and it's great. And so
I haven't seen.
And he was
Racer.
also very heavily responsible for repealing Missouri's right to work laws. So he's cool also in real life.
Oh, hell yeah.
that's good to know.
So yeah, no, Missouri is no longer right to work state, partially due to John Goodman's activism.
Wow.
Pretty badass.
Yeah.
John
JG.
Goodman in favor of unions, I see.
Yeah, no, he really is, yeah.
Ooh,
I mean, he was
very
in
cool.
Roseanne
oh, yeah.
as like a working class hero character.
Well, Roseanne didn't turn out to be quite as good.
Yeah,
But,
Well, I mean, the TV, he was a good character in the TV show.
oh, yes.
Yeah, and she turned out to be a good character in real life. So
Yeah, a very interesting character in real
Yeah.
life, that's for sure. Whereas, isn't that really funny, right? Because, like, the stereotype is that, like, oh, there's the housewife who's, forgotten or whatever, and the guy's always, like, this big sexist asshole. But in real life, John Goodman is the woke one, and Roseanne's the piece of shit. Like,
R.I.P. to
But,
Roseanne. She is dead. So
yeah, I thought this was a really good movie. Surprisingly touching also, that in a way that I wasn't expecting, although I knew going into this, it being a Coen Brothers movie, that I was probably going to enjoy it.
and this movie really is, though, you're talking about Blood Simple, and Blood Simple is definitely the exact opposite of this movie, because there's a lot of hope and optimism even at the
yeah,
so.
I will have to check out Blood Simple. I've been meaning for a long time to watch all of the Coen Brothers movies, but
And I have seen most of them, but there's a couple I have not seen. I haven't seen Lady Killers or Oh Brother, Where Art Thou and Burn After Reading, and I think I've seen every other one.
okay, yeah, and I think that even the bounty hunter in this movie is probably an even bigger Lebowski than the Big Lebowski himself in the
and
movie, so.
I do think it's really funny that the bounty hunter in this movie looks exactly like a combination of Toe Cutter and Mad Max.
yeah.
Like the exact same.
Yeah, I think that's kind of all I have here.
Also, the baby was fantastic in this movie. Like I said, very good actor.
Yeah, and the baby on the poster has got a good future ahead of him.
And
Yeah,
I also looked it up. By the way, Bryan Singer was 23 when this movie came out, so he could have done what Bryan Singer does best.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, he could have been inspired by this movie personally, actually.
I actually was really surprised at how they were able to wrangle that many babies in and get them to act well.
Like I said, Bryan
Kind of
Singer
movie
was
like
involved in wrangling those babies. So.
Yeah, I mean, if you fucking whip a baby, you can get it to do pretty much anything.
That's true.
So
Another thing I'll say is this movie had a lot of kind of dry humor and a lot of really pretty damn funny lines that go by really quickly, and some of them you might miss if you're not paying
One
really
of
close
I wasn't
attention.
expecting it because I have not seen this movie in many years. But the whole line where he's like, "Hey, I'm a swinger," with his like foreman, and he has like 15 different terms for swinger. I'm sharing my wife and all. Like that line had me just busting a gut fucking laugh.
Yeah.
And that actor was and that character was really fucking funny too.
Yeah.
He was saying like, oh, and remember, I think in the ending sequence, he gets picked up and pulled over, and he meets a Polish cop, and he keeps making those Polak jokes.
Oh yeah, he'd been making
makes one
Polish
too
jokes.
many Polish jokes.
Yeah, and in the movie, his bit is that he's stupid and just loves making really bad, even by like Polak joke standards, Polish jokes.
And like getting the joke wrong and correcting himself and just
How many
prolonging
Polacks
the
take a
pain.
screw in a light bulb? Because they're dumb. Like shit like
They don't have light bulbs in Poland, so
Yeah. Well, this movie came out in '87. They were still in the Eastern Bloc, Warsaw Pact, so they might not have had light bulbs.
yeah, exactly.
They were all still doing shit by candlelight. American propaganda told me that they didn't have electricity up until freedom came in.
Well, I mean, the American propaganda did its job, and we're all better for it.
Absolutely.
If you think communism's good, just look at Venezuela, and I mean, look at this one specific picture of Venezuela I have on my phone, and believe that it is Venezuela.
Yeah, I think you accidentally misspelled Vuvuzela.
Oh yeah,
That's what you're showing me. Right
I was gonna say you should communism at the World Cup.
yeah.
So, Dave, any chance you got a summary of this movie?
Wheeling, dealing, baby stealing. The baby shot up a Walmart. That's about all I got out of it.
Okay.
That's perfect.
I love how like the best movie we probably watched so far in many different ways is the one you have the least amount of summary for.
I mean, I feel like in a way, Dave is saying like this movie speaks for itself, and I agree.
Yeah.
It really does. It's one of the few movies that like even though we do have a lot to say about it, I don't think we could probably improve upon it. Whereas like every other movie, we couldn't improve upon it either because there's been no bad movies on Cage Fight.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Perfect record so far.
except for Captain Corelli's mandolin.
I think that one's good. The bad one is G-Force.
No, I think G-Force Gang needs to stick around because it's the best.
Yeah, and Jesse.
Oh, you fuckers stay tuned
piece
with
of
your
shit.
G-Force gang.
Yeah, the G-Force gang is not dead, as some have said. We have just been out there campaigning for Biden in the streets every day, so it's been a bit hectic. So G-Force gang, get out there and smell some hair.
Well, and that's the thing. I don't know if you know, but the G-Force Gang was originally started by Richard Gere.
Yeah,
He was the one that organized the original G-Force.
Yeah, it used to stand for Gear Gang.
It started at the Richard Gere Museum. You can hear the history.
Yeah, and the gears got to keep turning,
Yeah.
and that's one of the slogans.
And that is the slogan where the gear keeps on turning because the machine
Guts
that
are
opens
important.
up his intestines to let the guinea pigs in.
Yeah, yes, and the
And they're fed into his asshole.
Well, Mike, you want to hit us with those Amazon reviews?
yeah, who said I have any? I'm just kidding. I got it. Yeah.
I was going to say, I'm sure there's got to be a lot of amazing Amazon reviews. for this.
There's some gems. Let's see what we got here. We got a review from JD who gave the movie 5 stars.
Wait,
and-
Jonathan Davis?
I think so. So JD says Coen Brothers at their best. This is by far my favorite movie ever made. I still think the whole thing is likely a crack at society and traditional values. Some off-color language, but overall a good movie. My DVD has nothing but the movie and a couple of adverts on it. No bells or whistles to this DVD.
I will say that's like the one Amazon review that talks about the DVD where it's a good DVD review.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like it doesn't work, it's broken, never showed up. It's like, oh no, it's just a bare bones DVD.
Yeah, this guy's happy that there's not special features because that's less time he has to waste.
You know, in all honesty, sometimes there are times where I want to see them review the physical media copy of this. Is this worthwhile purchasing? If I already have another one, is this a better one?
And that was the worst
You know?
one because he didn't even say it showed up. You could have gotten this as a gift. Like, we don't know how thorough the shipping from Amazon
Well,
was.
he
Was
is
it
a
3D
verified
from Germany?
purchaser.
Yeah, was it a 3D Blu-ray from Germany?
It might have been. Actually, I would love to see this film in 3D.
And in German.
yeah,
German
well, yeah.
Subtitles and dub.
Yeah, I think in German it's
That's
called.
a given.
In German, it's called Das Baby. Have a review from Paul who says, a legendary classic, an absolute flawless classic. If you don't like this movie, I probably wouldn't like you. And those are some definitive words from Paul. He's,
Them's fighting words.
you know what? And I did like this movie, so me and Paul could be, we're square, you know?
Yeah, good friends.
Mama wrote a review titled Childhood, which, I mean, I feel like I don't even have to read the body. That's pretty much, I mean,
Yeah, childhood.
but she says, perfect movie from when I was a kid. Lots of famous actors and actresses. My kids didn't like the movie because there was not enough action. What do kids know about movies? Nothing. LOL.
I will say that there's a good amount of action in a movie like this.
Yeah, for
Like,
a
there's
movie
there's,
that's
like, several
ostensibly
chase
about
scenes.
raising a child, there's a lot of gunfights.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, a movie about a couple who can't have a child. This is the most action-packed movie about a couple like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was no fucking bank robberies in Boyhood, I think. I don't know. I haven't seen it, but
Yeah, this is like a very, like, I mean, to be fair, this is a very short-lived coming-of-age tale because they don't really have the baby that long. But in that short little time, there's a lot of action.
yeah. And, you know, everybody who made this movie got a lot of action because it was that good.
I mean, if you were Joel and Ethan later married Frances McDormand.
Yeah, they might have met on this movie, and then, like, the movie was so good they fucked.
They actually met on Blood Simple, but
Got a review from Chad P, who wrote a review titled "Son, You Got a Panty on Your Head." And he writes, "Son, you got a panty on your head." OMFG ROTFLMAO all the lols.
wait,
That's it?
That's it?
That's it.
Oh, that's still a good review, though. That's a solid review.
That was a funny line.
That was a really
He
fun.
did have a freaking panty on his head. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, "Oh, that's supposed to be
You
on
remember in
He was like, you just got to pussy and you put that in your
it's supposed to be on a girl's leg." Ew.
Yeah.
Hold on, this is the second movie that Nick Cage has had a panty on his head. Do you remember
Oh
Firebirds?
shit!
when he's
Firebirds. He
driving
put
around?
panties on his head to
Learn to
learn how to fly a helicopter.
Wait, what?
I forgot about that.
That's
but-
really fucking awesome. I love that shit.
So add that one to the tally. Everett's mom wrote a review called "Everything Fine." This might be a cry for help. So, oh no, she said arrived in good condition. Movie isn't as funny as I remember. Okay, that's
Oh, come on.
that's fine. That's fine. I got a couple more here. Michael R says he wrote a review called "As an Actual Film School Graduate." So you know this is going to be.
This guy's a big shot.
He's gonna fucking you may not like it, but he's gonna tell you the facts about this movie.
You like some fucking truth bombs.
So what does he say? We are all dumber for watching this movie, fitting for 10-year-olds who are fans of the Ace Ventura franchise and Jim Varney. If this is entertaining for you, shame.
I'm going to say this guy's probably not the type of film critic who actually reviews movies. He's the type who only reviews movies on Amazon.
Well, he's a film school graduate, so he's not reviewing movies. He's fucking making them. Masterpieces, probably. Look up Michael R. on IMDb, and I bet you'll find it. It might be Michael Rooker from the Guardians of the Galaxy. Got one from Jose Lopez, who says, movie is funny for 5 to 10 minutes. Then it got to anti-Reagan comments / Goldwater portrait.
Oh my god, there was one anti-Reagan comment the whole movie.
The
but
movie
I did
went
like that.
downhill for me there, okay? Mondale and Ferraro would have never won anyways, so it does not bother me. Reagan did a lot for peace and ended the Cold War, but I digress. The movie the Coen bros made is not good because of my bias towards it in regards to the silly typical Hollywood statement, because the plot, it's bad. You have Nicolas Cage? Need I say more? On top of that, since when do Arizonians or people from the Southwest speak with a Southern accent? This movie is made for people to think that people from the Southwest are slow. An enlightened, liberal portrayal is but yet another epic fail.
That's the thing. I don't think anybody in this movie is like aggressively stupid or rednecky.
Mm-hmm.
Like even Nick Cage and Ed in this movie, they're working class people kind of down on their luck. They're not like shitty dumb rednecks. Like
Yeah,
I
they
don't
are.
understand where that could possibly even come from.
Mm-hmm.
But
even
their car-
even the bank robbing criminal guys are just normal people who just kind of are fucking criminals. Like I don't agree with that review at all.
Their car had a bumper sticker
I
for
saw
Reagan's
it.
opponents, and
Mondale
so
Faro, yeah.
so basically that's where this movie lost me, because I want to keep my politics out of my entertainment, and when they said they basically said Reagan was mean, and I think he was a great president. He hated gay people, so.
Mm-hmm.
And
And he
that's the thing is that
hated black people too.
That's the thing. Hating gay people is not mean. So we got to
Right.
keep mean anti-Reagan mean comments.
Exactly, and hating gay people just makes them stronger, and I.
It's great.
So I got a couple, just a couple more. Elite Lamo wrote.
Wait! You said elite lame-o?
They wrote a review titled, and let me make sure I'm the right distance for the title of this review. And they said that is all you hear for the entire movie. Shut the fuck up. Horrible film, screaming adultness and incoherent dialogue. And I felt like I was watching it in a Walmart with some beer-guzzling Costco family. And I see, it's an early Coen film. Well, now it all makes sense. Yeah, those Coen leeching yuppie pseudo-film hipsters who idolize the Coens like their own deity. Yep, perhaps one of the worst films I've ever seen. 5 stars. People give this LMFAO. And then my last review is from Josue Correa, and he said, cool.
Okay, so yeah, first off, Walmart beer guzzling Costco family.
Yeah.
So you pay for the Costco membership, and then you go to Walmart to guzzle beer and watch Coen Brothers movies on their TV, because people who like Coen Brothers movies are drunken lowlifes, but also...
Yeah, I was gonna say anyone who likes a Coen Brothers movie is absolutely somebody who gets drunk at a rural Walmart. That is Coen Brothers demographic to the core. After they watch WWE and like Roman Reigns beat the fuck out of like I don't know, some other wrestling person.
And these are the pseudo film hipsters who are just the type of people who would buy a Costco membership just to impress their friends and then shop at Walmart. So
Hey, listen, I bought a Costco membership because let me tell you fucking what, they got great deals and free samples, and let me tell you what, them Coen Brothers movies, they're fucking real funny, man.
You seen Costco? They got these Yo Plays 5 for 10, brother.
Yeah.
Anyway, this movie fucking sucked.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, that is the most incoherent film review. That had to be a troll.
Yeah, and I probably did add a little bit of incoherence to it, but I read it verbatim, so that's
I just read it as the text said.
I did the best that I could, and Elite Lamo really knows what's up. Also, a lot of people just saying that this movie had too much swearing and they didn't like it. So
I don't even remember that much excessive swearing in it.
it's
don't really-
PG-13, so
I'm
it
saying
can't be that.
they're allowed
bad.
one fuck.
Yeah, and that's one fuck too
We
many.
fuck now.
Yeah.
One fuck too far.
Well, anyways, I think that's all we got to say about Raising Arizona. We're going to have a short break, and then we'll be back to you with Deadfall.
Good night.
Stay tuned.
Hey everyone, we're here to you now with a very special segment. We're going to move on to Deadfall. Hey everybody.
Deadfall. It's also the first review that we've done more than once.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, fucking yeah.
This is familiar.
Joker's wild.
This is familiar territory for
You're
us.
telling me you don't have as much money?
So we're not going to go as in-depth with Deadfall this time. If you want to get a full in-depth plot summary about this movie, go back and listen to episode 3 where we discuss this more in depth. We do discuss it in the first half of the movie, I believe, right? We talk about that before USS Indianapolis.
Yeah, I think so. And that was when the podcast was probably even more obnoxious. Maybe
in terms
I
of
don't know.
length. And,
Yeah, length, content,
Yeah.
just our existence.
Yeah.
So
But I will go on a brief refresher course here. Deadfall is rated R,
This movie's very much rated R.
very rated R. Came out in 1993. This was directed by Christopher Coppola, who is
Nick Cage's brother.
And everyone there, I encourage you to Google photos of Christopher Coppola.
because if you're ever in an argument as to why white people should be allowed to wear do-rags, he's your argument.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of looks like he belonged to Freddish Friday. Yeah, there's a shirt of
He looks nothing like his brother.
no, not a
Nothing
Not
at
a
all.
fucking lick.
He looks more like Brian Quimby than he does Nick Cage.
yeah, but
It's
yeah,
more like Mayor Quimby.
He's
than
got
he does
some,
Nicolas Cage.
He looks more like the lead singer of Suicidal Tendencies than he does Nick Cage.
He's Adam Dervitz without the dreads.
No, really though. I mean,
Oh,
he
man.
shaved his head a while ago.
Oh fuck. No, I stopped paying attention to him when he stopped fucking every woman
Hot
in
woman of the
Hollywood.
90s. He fucked every hot woman in the 90s.
Yeah,
Seriously.
his dick is broke.
but yeah. Christopher Coppola kind of looks like he belongs in like West Coast Choppers or something.
Yeah, whereas Nick Cage just looked cool.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
especially in this movie, he looks cool as shit.
And that's why one of them is behind the camera and one of them is in front of it in this instance.
This was produced by Trimark, runtime of 98 minutes, budget of $10 million, and it made back $18,369.
Which has to be one of the lowest grossing movies that you have proof of.
Yeah, that is for a fact that is the lowest one where the box office gross is available for me.
Which is criminal, by the way.
yeah, this certainly deserved more than fucking Rage and shit like that. I feel.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Rotten Tomato, this has a whopping 0 from the critics and a 25% from the audience. And
I thought it was way higher than that. So even the audience doesn't really care for this movie.
no,
Which is once again a
evidently
real
not.
crying ass shame.
Yeah, I feel like just a lot of people are real fucking lowlifes.
Yeah.
Don't understand art.
And this was
Do
the
not.
first time I'd watched Deadfall. Like I'd heard the review from earlier, but I'd never watched Deadfall before. this episode.
What was your first impression of it? Because it's a pretty wild movie. It's
My
a lot
first
to take
impression
in.
when I first watched it was I was like, this is gonna be like a weird sort of like noirish crime drama. And then you got fucking Kyle Reese as the main character.
Yeah,
It's
Good old
directed by his
Bean.
brother. Nick Cage is in it. Charlie Sheen is in it for like 2 minutes.
there are a lot of big
Randomly.
names in this movie.
Yeah.
Like,
it's
it's so weird for
nuts.
something that's so like small and completely forgotten. But
Well, you also
I think
do have to
everybody in it-
remember. You have to remember that 2 of Francis Ford Coppola's nephews are in this movie,
That's true. Yeah.
or at least involved in the production of this movie at the very least. So I mean, like,
and-
you can pull some favors every once in a while.
You do.
I mean, this was right around the time when Michael Biehn was doing like relevant movies.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he spent the previous decade being in a lot of James Cameron movies. He was in Terminator.
Yeah,
he was
very famous. He's probably his most famous role is Kyle
Yeah.
Reese, I would imagine.
either that or Hicks from Aliens.
Aliens?
Yeah.
That's a really good point. Yeah, I know him most as Kyle Reese. When I looked him up, I'm like, oh shit, there's Kyle Reese.
I think of Aliens because I fucking love that movie franchise.
Yeah.
Um,
And I
he
mean,
was also
when
in
you
The Abyss.
yeah, James Cameron, another James Cameron pick, I believe. And yeah, but he's in a lot of flicks, which makes you want to say, you know, he really flicks your bean.
I was gonna say, he really flicks the Michael Biehn.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's a bit of a reach, but I went for it.
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I like it. I like where it went, but so just a quick plot summary. I'm not going to go through this in depth. This is a 1-paragraph summary. There's a con man, played by Michael Biehn, who accidentally kills his father in a con gone wrong. His father's dying words lead him to finding his uncle, his father's brother.
And sorry
Who's
to
played
interrupt.
by the same actor, by the way.
They're twins, but also his father's dying words are.
Yeah, the cake. He took the cake.
I was laughing so fucking hard.
But okay, so he gets close to his uncle and begins to run cons with him as well. But all the while, his uncle's right-hand man, Eddie, played by Nicolas Cage, becomes uneasy at this new working relationship and ends up trying to kill both of them, but he gets killed instead. Finally, Michael Biehn and his uncle try to run one last big con with some diamonds and a wonderful character named Dr. Lime.
Yeah.
But everything goes south, and it turns out that this was all one big long con played by Michael Bean's father, who is not dead, and it was played onto Michael Bean's uncle and Dr. Lime. Bean is very upset by this, understandably, and he decides to not con people, I think is the point of the...
Yeah.
He's like, I'm gonna go straight now. Like, I'm not gonna deal with this fucking shit. And then the movie ends.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is Dr. Lime, was that the guy with the fucking weird gold claw thing?
Yes,
Hell
that was Dr. Lime. My favorite character that I knew nothing about going into the film initially, the first time.
And also, don't forget, Charlie Sheen is a pool master.
Yes.
It's crazy because you get 2/3 of the way through this movie and you get like an infinite amount of great Cage moments, and then suddenly he dies and the movie takes this weird turn where you're in a pool hall with fucking Charlie Sheen and some makeshift Bond villain with a claw scissor arm thing.
He is like dead ass, just like the epitome of a weird camp Bond villain from like the Roger Moore era.
Yeah.
He's got like a mechanical arm. He's got a crazy name like
Dr.
Lime.
Lime.
He's literally dressed just like Blofeld. You know,
and
he
there's
wears that
so
same
many
fucking-
amazing scenes. All my favorite scenes, though, do involve Nick Cage freaking out.
Mhm.
And if you don't mind, I'm going to reenact my favorite Nick Cage moment in this movie.
Okay.
Stop trying to kill me, man!
Yeah.
And that was perfect.
And also, I love the scene where he gets told that Michael Bean's character like faked the $1,500. He's like,
yes.
he's gonna fucking take your place. He's gonna steal your woman. And this big old black guy just starts laughing at him. He's like, what the fuck are you gonna say to me? And then he takes some random guy's drink, throws it in his face, and there's a woman dancing on stage with her fucking tits out. It's a great scene.
Yeah.
And then he just screams the word fuck for 10 seconds.
Fuck!
Which,
Yes,
by the way, I
which-
don't know if you know, but that scene, by the way, was the inspiration roughly 15 years later for the Rage comic Fuh Guy Face.
Oh,
So I don't know if
didn't
you knew
know that.
Yeah. And honestly, that whole scene's amazing. And then, of course, the legendary scene. Guy bumps into him.
Oh, wait, hold on. Before we move on, though,
Yeah.
I wanted to say a little Easter egg that I didn't notice initially. When he's yelling fuck into the air, there's a guy sitting on the table who has the word fuck on a
I
t-shirt.
noticed that, yeah!
I didn't even see that until this time I watched
I
that
noticed
movie.
that when I watched it. I'm like, wait, what? And then he
I don't know
bumps,
if
he
he
bumps
improv
into a
that?
guy.
Oh, yeah.
And then he's like, hey, watch it, buddy. And Nick Cage beats the fuck out of him. He goes, hi, fucking yada! And slaps the shit out of his back.
God, yeah.
That whole scene, easily one of the best scenes of any movie I've ever seen. Like, if that movie was this whole movie, it'd be like in my top 10 favorite films of all time.
Yes.
He's truly incredible in this movie.
And then also the scene where he's fighting Kyle Reese, and then he gets his face shoved into a deep fryer and gets his face fried off. Like,
Yeah.
the fuck?
He gets his face melted off, which is the gateway to him being replaced by Charles Sheen.
Mhm.
And then also, let's be honest, the scene where he's in the room with his girl for a fiance, wife, whatever, and he just starts freaking like, someone's trying to kill me, man! And then he's like, oh, and he starts humping the bed.
How could you not fucking know that?
What am I fucking retard, man? What fucking retard? He's just saying with his little nephew friend. Well, let me tell you what, people love fucking France. It's just so amazing. And then I love when he like tries to like grab her because he's like fucking wild or whatever. And then he's like, I bet you didn't expect me tonight. Ah! And then she just pulls out the gun on him with her line. She's like, listen, I would just love for an opportunity to blow you away. And I'm like, listen, you can't have that performance and then Nick Cage's fucking performance immediately before that.
Yeah.
You cannot. You need to do better.
Yeah, you got to step up your game a little bit there. But
And then,
Cage is fucking iconic in this movie.
I also love the scene where he's sitting in the uncle, whatever, his seat or whatever, and he pulls out the gun like, oh yeah. He's like, you fucking kill me. What's the fucking card there? Because let me tell you what, Joker's wild! It's just...
Yes, he carries around a deck of cards, and I was gonna say offers to do card tricks, but sometimes forcibly does card tricks.
He's like, pick a card. Yeah, fucking pick a card.
He it's his weird thing, and
It is his thing. I don't know why it's a thing, but I
Also,
there
you
is
also
a
have to
nice-
admit, his hair in this movie is phenomenal.
Oh yeah,
his hair, his mustache.
toupee?
He did his own wardrobe for this. They let him wear whatever he
I
wanted.
forgot it was a toupee, and you find out he's bald just before he
Yeah.
gets his
Yeah.
fucking face stuck in the deep fryer.
One thing I gotta say that I don't think I mentioned in the other one is I realized the way he talks in this one, he's basically talking without moving his jaw all the time, which to me implies he's on a lot of amphetamines.
Well, I definitely noticed
yeah.
that when he's in the scene with the bar and he's talking about, you're telling me he didn't get my fucking money. Like he does like that shit.
Yeah.
Who sent you? Who sent you?
I'm just gonna go through some of my favorite Cage lines in this movie. That's not very sociable behavior, friend.
The way he says "friend" too.
Yeah, friend. I can't do it justice. You got to just look up his.
It is
role
an
in Deadfall.
incredible performance.
There are many supercuts of the classic scenes from this movie, so I suggest finding one if you don't watch the whole
Unfortunately,
thing.
his death scene and the last scene that he's in, where he's threatening Lou at gunpoint, you can't really find that on YouTube for some reason.
No, you really can't. I found the one where he's threatening his girlfriend, wife, or whatever. I found the one, of course, where he's in the bar screaming "fucking hi, fucking ya" and all that. And I think that's about it. You can find on YouTube easily.
But yeah, that's not very sociable behavior, friend. Fucking fucker, fuck.
And then just regular fuck.
Oh yeah. Also, mommy, we'll go home soon, mommy. We'll go home soon. God.
And just
fucking yeah, classic.
I can't reiterate how I've never seen someone yell the word "fuck" that long with sustained tone and volume. It's impressive.
He has
It is
quite
an
a vocal
impressive
range.
fuck.
Yeah, because he literally there's no like voice breaking, no nothing. It is just a perfect 10 seconds of fuck.
It's honestly, there are dozens of active vocalists for bands who could not pull that off.
Yeah, no.
I do want to say it's a sleeper line that not everybody notices, I think, but it is my favorite Cage line in the movie. That last scene where he's tying Lou up
Yep.
and he gets murdered, that's where it occurs. He yells, "You want to fuck? You want to fuck? We fuck now." that is still my favorite.
We fuck now.
We fuck now.
I mean, my favorite line is one of my fucking retard Viva la France. That's my favorite line.
We fuck now is a pickup line that has worked for me consistently for 15 years.
It's your version of the Naked Man.
yeah.
Some other things I want to say about this movie that aren't related necessarily directly to Cage, but I noticed this time, because this time I was able to watch more freely and I wasn't taking notes about the plot and stuff. The camera work on this has this weird kind of soap opera-ish quality to it.
It's really bad.
It looks like it's filmed at a higher frame rate than normal movies are usually, and come to think of it, the whole story does kind of have a sort of soap opera quality to it.
It really does.
Even
Yeah,
in the audio production.
The lighting really is also very like stereotypically early 90s, like low budget.
Mhm.
It's the production is very strange in this movie.
It's soap opera-y to the point that it makes me think that this is the only movie that Tommy Wiseau saw before creating The Room.
You know what this
It's
movie like
that
really
awkward-
looks like it was filmed like? It looks like it's filmed like a Charles Band Full Moon movie. You ever watch like Puppet Master or like a David Dakota
I actually
film?
haven't seen Puppet Master.
It looks like a David Dakota film. Like the lighting and acting and like filmmaking really reminds me of like a Full Moon, like or like a David Dakota film. Like it's really fucking weird looking. It's almost just like Uncanny Valley shit sometimes.
Yeah, especially when his like face is all melted.
Yeah, like that scene is literally like straight out of a Full Moon or David Dakota movie. Like it's fucking straight on.
And one thing I'm still very confused by is the bearded man who attacks Cage that we never get a proper explanation
I
for.
think he's just a random hitman or something.
Yeah, that I feel like maybe looking back on it, maybe he was hired by Michael Bihn's father, the one who died, to like
Pops.
just kind of set off.
Yeah,
Pops.
because obviously, well, that's the thing is also Michael Biehn is obviously much more effective. I mean, much more effective. He fakes a lot of it, of course, but like Nick Cage is just objectively in this movie is just not. He's bad at what he does. He's hyper violent. He's not very like discreet. He's a fucking wild card.
Yeah.
He can't be trusted to be able to keep all these secrets, so he's got to go eventually. And he's like, oh, might as well just hire somebody to kill this guy. And also, I loved that where he took the bearded guy after he's trying to choke him with the piano wire and just takes his face and just slams it with the fucking door.
Yeah.
Doesn't he cut his throat too?
Yeah, he slits his throat.
And gets blood all over his
And
car.
you revealed something to me because I remember when he says, I thought he said, who, who sent you? And he says, I thought he said Sam fucking Beckenfall, but you said Peckinpah, who is a British director from the 70s.
No, he's a American director, but he did a movie in Britain.
Oh, okay. So apparently he was being sly and making a reference. So I guess this is for film geeks,
Yeah,
considering
he's
it's from the
making a
Coppola
reference to the
family.
director of Straw Dogs. This movie tries to be pretentious, but it fails miserably at it.
Straw Dog is 1 letter away from how, 2 letters away from how I prefer sex.
That's very fair. Yeah.
Otherwise, too, Charlie Sheen's very interesting in this movie. He's got crazy eyebrows and a glove that's
And he
missing
really
2
doesn't have
fingers.
that much of a performance. He's a very even toned Charlie Sheen performance.
Yeah, he doesn't really do much at all.
Yeah, and I'm not really sure of. I guess I should have looked this up, but I don't know where Charlie Sheen is at in his career at this point, because it's just a very strange
He at least had that Ferris Bueller cameo.
yeah, and this is probably what, like 14 seasons into 2.5 Men, so
Yeah, 1993. In fact, I don't know if you know, but 2.5 Men came out in 1978 originally. That's when it started.
it started on the Tracy Ullman show.
Yeah. All right, so this movie came out the same year as The Three Musketeers and 2 years after Hot Shots. So that's where Charlie
okay.
Sheen was in his career.
Okay.
And he was, let's see here, he was many years away from marrying Denise Richards. So he was definitely not at a good point in his career.
Yeah, he was working his way up to fucking Denise Richards. And
This was years, I think it was years before he got HIV, if I'm not mistaken. I think he actually got HIV on the set of this film, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, probably in that pool hall.
Yeah. Yeah, in this movie, Hot Shots Part 2, Three Musketeers, and Loaded Weapon 1 came out the same year as Deadfall.
Loaded Weapon 1.
The first, yes.
Sometimes you rent that by accident and instead of Lethal Weapon.
Yeah. But I like that it's a loaded weapon, too, because it's not... That rules out a sword, rules out a knife.
And I
you know,
believe
like-
this was also 5-year... well, let me think. Because when did Lost Boys come out? 87?
87, I think.
Okay, so this was 6 years after he raped Corey Haim, too.
Oh.
So it was definitely a rough part of his career.
Yeah, and so you think he'd be more famous now.
You know, we talk about Bryan Singer. No one ever talks about Charlie Sheen.
Oh, wait.
Corey Haim did.
Charlie Sheen's a pretty fucked dude.
Yeah. I mean, he literally did anally rape Corey Haim when he was 13 and Charlie Sheen was 19. So yeah.
I was not aware of that.
Viciously anally raped Corey Haim.
Oh, God. Well, Charlie Sheen, great guy.
By the way, trigger warning.
Yeah,
Has he been canceled? I don't know.
I think Charlie Sheen is one of those celebrities that's uncancelable.
Yeah.
Because like back in the 90s, you ever heard of the guinea
It's the
pig? We're talking
Tiger
about
Blood.
guinea pig and G-Force, right? You ever heard of the guinea pig films?
No.
So the guinea pig films were faux Japanese snuff films that were made in the style of snuff films, but they were all fake. And Charlie Sheen watched one of them because he was on a film like marathon of snuff films. And he found one. He's like, oh, this one definitely real. So I'm going to call the FBI just so they know that this is a real snuff film.
is this the plot of 8mm?
This is this is legitimately what happened. This is an actual real story. So he called the FBI about a fake snuff film because he's like, this definitely feels like a real snuff film. I got to tell the FBI about this. It's a real thing that actually happened.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's a film called The Flowers of Flesh and Blood. That's a film that he watched.
Wow, I mean,
Which is also, by the way, the great name of like a Midwest emo band somewhere, Flowers of Flesh and Blood.
Yeah, that's gotta exist.
That's got to be like a 80s goth band or something. Like,
the in-flight movie selection on Epstein's jet was just not great.
So yeah, no, Charlie Sheen is one of probably the least cancelable celebrities.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, he literally gave hookers HIV on purpose, and he still hasn't been canceled.
God. Yeah,
And that's why
this has
he
come up multiple
wins the
times
internet
throughout his
this week.
career, like many times.
Yeah, loves watching fucking snuff films, raped a teenager when he was an adult, basically like watched child porn with Denise Richards in the same room. Was like, fuck you, bitch, I'm not gonna not watch child porn. Gave hookers HIV on purpose and is a juggalo, and he hasn't been canceled.
Okay, I didn't
And
know he
he's
was
a juggalo.
You know,
So,
he's an actual juggalo. I'm not
Saving
kidding.
the worst for last.
To be fair, would you rather be like a rapist, snuff film loving HIV haver, or would you rather be a juggalo?
I will give you my answer off the air.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
Look, I can't stand for that much insulting of juggalos. They get enough shit already. But
I
They
know,
do. And they deserve all of it. by the way.
it's hack to make fun of juggalos now, but sometimes
I will say, thankfully, Nick Cage was not 13 years old in this movie because Charlie Sheen would have raped him off camera. So.
yeah.
or on camera. Who the fuck? I don't know.
Charlie Sheen is such a fucking psychopath that he probably would have done it on camera if his brother would have asked for it.
But yeah,
So yeah, this movie's fucking awesome. I loved it.
It is pretty awesome.
I will
At
say
least
though,
the first
after
half.
I was gonna say, yeah, definitely after Nick Cage dies, the movie falls apart pretty quick. I will say Dr. Lime is funny. But other
Dr.
than
Lime
that,
is pretty crazy.
other than that, it's pretty boring for the
Yeah.
last like 30, 40 minutes of this movie.
But a masterwork from the Dr. Cage, yeah.
Also, by the way, Nick Cage's girlfriend, wife, fiance, or whatever, fucking banging.
Mhm.
She can get it in this movie.
Yeah, I saw her boobs actually when I was watching the movie.
Yeah, dude.
She is
good.
very, very beautiful.
And Michael
Their
Biehn
sex
can
scene
flick
is
that
so-
bean.
And he is fucking ripped as hell, too.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. When you have to survive a robot apocalypse, you're gonna be ripped as fuck.
And yet, strangely, these two attractive people have the least attractive sex scene I've ever seen in a movie.
Yeah,
really.
I've seen some less attractive sex scenes.
They don't have a ton of chemistry, but
I
they
mean, have
both
you
got
ever watched the
banging.
No
sex scenes?
passion.
Have you ever watched the sex scenes in The Room?
Okay, yes.
Where
Okay.
they reuse
I
scenes
was
of him
actually-
fucking a girl's belly button.
I was actually gonna kind of compare this to the sex scenes in The Room almost because it's very awkward, long drawn out, and not very.
At least he
passionate.
fucks what is basically the right hole. though.
Yeah, it's true.
He
He
gets
doesn't
the right hole.
hump her belly button.
Yeah.
But yeah, one thing that I do think is funny in the sex scene is that while she's getting naked and they're doing like a montage, they have her overdubbing and saying, "I don't sleep with Eddie," and he says, "Well, that's nice to know." And it feels
It's so good.
it feels so fucking out of place too. Like, who even says that?
By the
while
way,
they're-
that is a line that has existed in every single like cuckold like porno
Yeah,
of all time.
it has-
I don't fuck my husband. It's like that's good to know, bitch.
It has to-
Dick your pussy.
Appeal to the male fantasy, and so they
Yeah.
they were like, it's not toxic enough.
Yeah, movies like appeal to the male fantasy, and they just show the Deadfall scene of them fucking.
Oh, that's good.
God, I do love his response to that too. Well, that's good to know.
What would have been really funny is if you would
I
have said
guess-
like you said like, "Damn, that shit sucks, fam." Like that would. have
Like, damn, trapped in a
He-
loveless marriage.
There's
He
honestly a
reacts-
lot of choice quotes in this movie.
He
It's
reacts
shit.
like she just said, "Yeah, my dad is out of town for the weekend. If you want to come over and have sex at my house,
Yeah.
yeah, that's good to know.
Yeah, that's cool, dude.
Fuck yeah."
But yeah, that's kind of everything I have to say about Deadfall again at this point. I mean, I'm sure I could go on for a lot more because I really do love Cage's performance in this movie. It's wonderful.
I really wish he had died at the very end.
Yes, if this movie had been entirely him and his character, I think we would have found our winner.
And I honestly don't, even though I really do like Nick Cage in this, and he's by far the best part of this movie, I really do think he should not have been the main character. I wanted him to be the antagonist.
Oh yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I did want him to die just because, like, of course, he would have and he did have a fantastic death in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, you know what's really funny too is that during a lot of the violent scenes in this movie, I love that they played like the fucking Friday 13th sting. It was exactly the Friday 13th sting. It's like, yeah, it was. I'm like, did they just steal that from the guy who did that, like from Friday 13th? Like, it's just on the dot.
It was not copywritten yet, so they did fleece that.
And that's the
from-
thing, like in Gone in 60 Seconds, during the hacking or whatever thing, they had the song from the Yu-Gi-Oh anime. So of course, in this movie, they had to have something from Friday 13th. So
And overall, I think the most important thing to note about this movie is that without its existence, you wouldn't have the just classic film arsenal.
yeah, I was gonna say you wouldn't have Arsenal, which is a movie that I definitely have watched, and I remember the earlier review from this show. 100%. I didn't forget it at all.
Let me tell you one thing: if you got a grenade, that's an arsenal, baby.
A grenade is 80% of an arsenal. A flashbang, actually, too.
Yes,
Um,
an arsenal is one man and one flashbang,
Hell yeah, dude.
and a pistol.
and he's got a pistol.
Also, if it weren't for this movie, the writer of the film Green Book would not have, gotten some of his early writing in.
honestly,
Wait. The guy who wrote the Green Book wrote this movie?
Yes,
Yes,
it was written
this-
by Christopher Coppola and Nick Vallelonga, who wrote Green
the
Book.
man who wrote this movie has an Oscar for Best Picture.
By the way, you know, that's really funny because I remember I was watching the YouTube comments of Nick Cage's Freakouts, and someone said they should put underneath this Oscar Award winner Nick Cage. So you can do Oscar Award winner and Oscar Award winning writer.
Exactly.
In it. That would be, and just having the scene where he's freaking out to that girl and just have both 2-time Oscar award-winning people worked on this movie.
Yes.
How many Oscars have just touched this movie? It's worth a documentary.
Did Charlie
Peter
Sheen
Fonda's-
ever get nominated for an Oscar? Did Michael Bean?
Probably not.
think
I'm
Bean
not
did.
sure. I feel like
James
Michael Bean's
Coburn.
more of a-
I feel like he was in a million movies, and maybe he got nominated for an Oscar in the time about Hollywood where I don't really pay attention to Oscars.
But I will say, are we ready to do the countdown?
Oh yeah, I think we can move on to the countdown now.
I agree.
Um,
So, Dave, would you like to do the countdown?
Do you mean I took all these fucking notes for nothing?
Oh, no shit! We gotta hear the notes, right? Go ahead,
yeah.
Dave.
You don't give a fuck about me?
I'm sorry. I apologize. Dave, do you have a summary for us?
You're goddamn right.
Yeah.
Finally, after months since Rudy Gobert's COVID-19 diagnosis set the NBA back on pause, the Milwaukee Bucks returned playing a real live game against the San Antonio Spurs and emerged victorious, 113-92.
I think the cat farted. Nice.
You think I'm up here doing something useful?
Oh, I'm sorry. There was a bad smell. The cat took a shit.
No, it was me. I'm sorry. I took a shit on the floor.
Oh, on the floor?
No, I took a shit on the floor. I'm sorry, yeah. I'm sorry, I have IBS, like Dave had at one point.
For the listener at home, during Dave's summary, we were all trying to figure out why it smelled like a fucking turd in this room.
Is it just coming from there?
It smells like shit.
Actually shit on the floor.
Somebody took a shit in the past 2 minutes. And,
It was me. I'm sorry, guys. I made a big poop. That's the thing, though. I should have worn the Huggies from Raising Arizona.
Wait, what the fuck is good? The cat took
smell
a
the seed
shit?
of my
What the
chicken?
fuck is going on?
It smells
Legitimately,
like...
is there a thing around here that I need to clean up? That is what I need to know.
No.
Oh.
This is definitely getting into the
Somebody-
director's cut.
somebody
of the pod.
pooped.
I'm sorry, Dave. We missed most of your summary about Rudy Gobert.
Bucks won.
Hell yeah.
Hell
Bucks
yeah.
in 6.
Bucks and 6, baby.
Excellent.
Bucks won. Somebody shit. And
All right, so I will say, Dave, would you like to do the countdown?
No.
Okay.
All right. Well, 3, 2, 1.
Raising
Deadfall.
Arizona. What did you say?
I said Raising Arizona.
I said Raising Arizona.
Yeah.
I said Deadfall, you pussy.
All right, so
sorry.
2-1.
Yeah, I mean, to quote some of the famous reviewers, Deadfall is pretty good for the lulz.
And I will say, you totally. You probably did reviews of Deadfall in the original.
It was actually hard to find reviews of Deadfall that weren't just like meme movie, haha. It's memes.
Fair enough.
So,
I was gonna say if you had any fresh reviews. From
yeah, I mean, I grabbed a few, but literally one of them says this is the definition of random, and then one of them is literally just a link to somebody's MySpace blog from 2008.
So that's definitely still up. That had not been deleted when MySpace fucking turned to just musical.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
but
yeah.
I will say, Raising Arizona did win this episode.
Raising Arizona did win. It did pain me a little bit to see Deadfall get eliminated this early on in the bracket.
Yeah,
And
which is why you probably should have voted for it because.
But you do also have to remember that Raising Arizona is literally the #1 seed, so it has to get at least through one episode.
Yeah, I mean it's a great disservice to the bracket, the bullshit that you guys just pulled. But
look, I love Deadfall. It was probably my favorite thing to come out of round 1.
But let's face it, objectively, Raising Arizona is a much better film.
yeah,
versus
objectively, but like, if you're some fucking Costco membership film hipster,
Yeah, Costco membership, Walmart beer drinking hipster.
yeah, and me, I like movies that are like me, real.
But either way, Raising Arizona does move on to the bracket.
It moves on in the bracket.
It's fine.
And what is the next one?
In the next episode, we'll be discussing Snowden and Lord of War.
Now, talk about Snowden. Is it literally about Edward Snowden?
Yes.
Oh,
no,
hell yeah, dude. I'm into
I thought it
that
was about a guy who like couldn't get out of his driveway because
Yeah, he's like, yeah, he got snowed in.
yeah.
It's a film adaptation of that town in Undertale. Nobody else play
don't get
that?
the
I
reference.
knew no one would get it, and I still said it.
Hey, listen, I do a Whitney, Wisconsin reference if somebody gets it, but
Yeah,
somebody's an Undertale
if
reference.
you can reference a dog fucker, I'll get that on the spot.
Okay, well, that's all we got for you this week. Join us next week or 2 weeks, whenever we fucking release the
Yeah,
next
it'll
thing.
come out. You'll be listening to it.
It'll come out. I've got to go deal with the smell. Y'all have a good one. Bye-bye.
See ya. Taylor signing off.
Bye.
Now I gotta fucking go down there, but I think the cat's shit. So now it's hot in here.
Oh yeah! Cage fight! Here goes Cage!
This has been a Solid Work production.
Solid work. Solid work. Solid work. Hey, solid work.